Friday edition of Notre Dame Daily on tap as the Irish await the decision of five-star defensive lineman David Filaroncho, which will come later today. More on that in a moment. For now, I hope you're doing great. I'm Pete Mulroy. So many of us missed the annual battle between Notre Dame and USC last season. I think I can speak for everyone in saying, that's exactly how we felt, that emotion of missing out on something that had been a part of our lives for decades. And as we know, the greatest intersectional rivalry in college football, as it's affectionately referred to, which dates back to 1926, was one of the staples of the sport. But after both sides failed to reach an agreement as to the future of the contest, the annual showdown vanished. Earlier in the weeks, reports surfaced that the two sides have renewed talks to reignite the rivalry. Included in those reports was the fact that Notre Dame now appears willing to talk about playing this game earlier in the season, sort of sticking to what Marcus Freeman said he'd play at any time, anywhere, any place, and at any point in that season, while it now looks like the Irish appear more willing and more comfortable to talk about perhaps consistently playing the game earlier in the season. Of course, with the USC, a member of the Big Ten Conference, their travel schedule changes on a season-to-season basis. That sort of throws a wrench into certain things. And while the Irish aren't in the business of accommodating their biggest rival, it's always nice to offer a compromise. From a Notre Dame perspective, adding a legitimate program from a power conference would only bolster their schedule. Sure, the MOA exists that if Notre Dame is in the top 12 of the final rankings this year, they'll be in the CFP. But moving forward, the opportunity to strengthen that schedule, particularly as an independent program with no conference affiliation outside of the part-time deal with the ACC, which doesn't factor in from a conference championship perspective, should be looked at as a plus. We can go back and forth about who is to blame for the cancellation of pausing one of the greatest rivalries in all of sports. USC faithful will blame Notre Dame. Notre Dame faithful will place blame on USC. So it's kind of pointless, right? I do think, however, Lincoln Riley, at least initially, shied away from this game and the future of it, while not also personally appearing like he was all that jazzed up one way or another if it continued. Perhaps he didn't understand the depth of the rivalry and the meaning of it at first glance, at first arrival at USC. Maybe now he does a bit more. Personally, I want it back. There's just something special about the Irish meeting the Trojans either in South Bend or Southern California that feels right, that feels appropriate, that makes you look forward to yet another week of college football. I mean, they stack certain weeks. I mean, that opening week here that includes the Notre Dame-Wisconsin game Sunday night, September 6th at Lambeau Field. That's a loaded week for college football. The first couple of weeks generally are, but regardless of what the national schedule looks like, the college football diehards and all, regardless of team affiliation, are going to circle Notre Dame-USC. It's just that meaningful. Usually a good game that brings the best out of both sides. It brings the best out of the fans from a pageantry perspective. It's just something we missed last year, and you hope you get it back. The good news, at least for me, I'm more optimistic about this game restarting than I was a couple of months ago. So I guess for now, we'll take it. I mean, nothing's done until it's done, and there have been hiccups, as we know, along the way, including the omission of that game from both USC and Notre Dame schedules last year. But again, it does appear that both sides willing to be a little bit more agreeable when they come to that proverbial table to talk about restarting this long-standing historical rivalry. And as a follow-up to the Irish and Trojans reigniting talks concerning their future, and you may have seen this as well, but various athletic directors from around the ACC continue to voice their frustration when it comes to, you guessed it, Notre Dame. It's undeniable, at least to me, that this conference benefits from having Notre Dame football involved even on a part-time basis, not to mention the University of Notre Dame has 23 athletic teams as full-time members of the conference, so the relationship should be strong, at least you'd think. In recent days, various ADs, unnamed of course, because why would they put their name on something, have voiced displeasure with the part-time affiliation the Irish have in football. At present, Notre Dame plays 5 ACC football opponents on an annual basis. That agreement will run through at least 2037. That's enough to ruffle some feathers within the conference, apparently, even though ticket sales and visibility for the programs that play the Irish jumps exponentially when they take on that national brand the blue and gold carry with them. The aforementioned unnamed ADs continuing voicing their frustration, including sharing the perception that Notre Dame, quote, receives special treatment, end quote, and that many involved are tired with that, quote, reality, end quote. Included was the statement that the observation has been created that conference heads are getting used to the treatment of Notre Dame, and they're sick of it. Additional powers also revert to Notre Dame as, get this, pathetic, arrogant, and as crybabies. This, of course, coming on the heels of Clemson coach Dabo Swinney recently saying that Notre Dame is basically doing its own thing. They print their own money. They do whatever they want with their TV network, and they make their own rules. So this is kind of a back-to-back kick to the you-know-what for Notre Dame, if they're even taking it all that seriously. Quite honestly, it's the definition of pathetic. Sure, Notre Dame has the ability to remain independent, something Pete Bavacqua, their athletic director, has no plans of changing, while playing a 5-game ACC slate on top of that. But you can't tell me the programs Notre Dame plays, again, aren't benefiting from it, which is as a whole would promote the Atlantic Coast Conference. Makes sense to me. The past few years, Marcus Freeman has guided the Irish back into the spotlight, and once again, they're legitimate national title contenders with an argument to be the preseason number 1 ranked team ahead of the 2026-27 season. So now that the Fighting Irish are on the verge of greatness and sustainability, conference heads are speaking up. Shouldn't work that way. Give me a break. Look, I don't love the idea of Bavacqua railing on the conference multiple times last season, even though it was frustrating when Notre Dame missed a CFP. I'm with him there and all of you. But again, what these unnamed fools within the ACC are saying and doing is just pathetic. The woe is me, crybaby attitude across the landscape of college football is out of control, and the ACC just continues to prove that. Now that Notre Dame is consistently back in that spotlight, contending again, now we've got to say something about the proverbial treatment they get, even though this was a signed agreement that brought them into the conference as a full-time member in 23 Division I sports and part-time 5 games in football. So it's just amazing to me that now, given the success in the wins and losses department and getting to the postseason, on the recruiting trail, doing damage in the portal, that now it's a problem. It's laughable and it's pathetic. And we'll wrap with some recruiting and fan interaction now. I mentioned David Foloruncho, stud 5-star defensive tackle from St. Pat's in Chicago, set to announce his collegiate decision later today, down to the Irish, Texas Tech, and Miami. There's absolutely no doubt that a player of his caliber would drastically heighten, I don't want to say change, heighten the future of a Notre Dame defensive line that is already stacked, hence why I'm omitting the term change, both in the present and for future seasons. And that's saying a lot. We know what the Irish have done up front. Portal, recruiting, continue to do it in recruiting with the 2026 and 27 classes and beyond even, kicking the tires there in 2028. Landing Foloruncho would just heighten that. A top 45 prospect nationally, as well as the number 2 player outright in the state of Illinois. These numbers as per 24/7. Foloruncho has been a major target of numerous powers across the country, including the Irish, and for good reason. At 6'4", 280 plus, kid has great agility, and his strength and explosiveness are off the charts. Comes off a junior campaign, 55 tackles, 18 TFLs, 5 sacks. So this Chicago star, and again, Notre Dame wants to be more consistent in that area. This kid from Chicago, simply one of the best defenders in the class, period. That is regardless of position. He's a fit anywhere. But playing for Notre Dame great Tom Zbikowski in high school, Foloruncho learned more about what it means to play with a steady motor, tenacity, and physicality each snap, something Zbikowski brought during his time in South Bend as a punt returner and a fast and flying physical defensive back. This would be another monster win for Freeman's group, so we hope the outcome goes in favor of the Domers when David announces his decision later today. It's a big one. Look, the Irish have a handful of offers, many of which we'll continue to get into as the cycle continues on that defensive line, but this one is big. All right? You want that clear-cut stud in the middle of your defensive line for future seasons, given what they've done with guys like Iwatani, Ola up the middle, of course, Rodney Dunham, Chris Burgess a couple cycles ago. They've done a great job adding Gray and Brew from the portal. You want to continue that, jumping on one and landing a massive commitment here from Foloruncho in the 27 class would be a damn good start to doing just that, or continuation of that process as well. Some fan interaction now as we wrap up, and the consensus seems to be that everyone is jacked up about Notre Dame earning a recent commitment from St. Peter's Prep in New Jersey, offensive lineman Olu Olubobo this week. This is a young man who brings incredible size and feel for the position, still raw, but he'll develop under Joe Rudolph, who continues to do masterful work out there. Larry690 says, after watching all the film on Olu, imagine a year in the Irish program as he's so talented, and that is true. What he's going to continue to learn on the prep level and then in his first go with Notre Dame as a member of that 27 class speaks for itself. What Joe Rudolph has been able to do from a developmental and recruiting standpoints is off the charts, and he meshes perfectly with Marcus Freeman's mindset when you go out on that road. Find guys that, yes, are excellent football players, but fit the mold of what you want for the program and academically for the university. This young man from New Jersey does just that. And then John Bryan III says, could you imagine if they land Albert Simeon alongside Olu Von Brandt in addition with having Halter? It's pretty insane with just the three. Simeon and Von Brandt, major targets, of course, for the Irish up front. James Halter already committed. Simeon nearing a decision, though an official announcement date has not been set, at least at the time of this program. Leighton Von Brandt will decide his collegiate destination July 1st, and Halter, of course, made his decision to head to the University of Notre Dame in October. And again, the future of the O-line, and I'm with you, is undeniably bright. And when you add in the fact that Rudolph just earned a commitment from former UCLA commit Jackson Hill, you can't help but think about how dominant these future lines can be. And numerous fans of the program also voicing their support and admiration for former Irish star Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, recently placed on the PUP list. Talked about that earlier in the week by the Cleveland Browns. Second straight year that happened to the talented linebacker, Davey Baby 3000, saying, "Hey, Pete, I think JOK was better than Manti or Jalen. Please don't get me wrong. I love those cats. With that said, JOK, a smart young man. He will be fine. Even if he can never play again, God bless everyone." I mean, that's a big statement, but that's how good he was at Notre Dame. And Cleveland started to see that in 2021, where he had that Pro Bowl season with the Browns, which led to a contract extension in 2023. And then the last couple of years have been really tough stint in the hospital after getting hurt on a tackle of Derrick Henry. And he continues to battle those injuries. So he's as talented as they come, is Owusu-Koramoah. So you truly hope he's able to get back to the point where he can resume being the impact player he was becoming with the Cleveland Browns. On that note, have a great weekend. I will see you all Monday. And as always, go Irish.